Hey everyone, Scooby-Doo here and welcome to a brand new video. Today we're going to be working on another one of our shelves as part of the Endor collection, which is part of the actual Star Wars wall. Also too, we're going to be doing a general discussion on why I do my dioramas the way I do, and we're also going to be making one special announcement for a brand new upgraded wall that we're going to be working on hopefully within the next couple of weeks. So we're going to start off here with this shelf. Now, if it looks like it's already been worked on, well, it has been. This is actually part of the Endor shelf that I made a couple of years ago, but I've been upgrading a lot of my shelves, and I wanted to add some new stuff. So since I was upgrading, I wanted to go ahead and do a video on it. Now, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to put some new dirt on this moldacine, which I'll show you really quickly. And what I did was I cleaned off a lot of stuff that was originally on the shelf, which is kind of nice when you're working with the moldacine because you can scrape off the top layer, and then if you put some water on it, you can kind of smooth out the area and then reapply dirt or grass or anything else that you want to apply to it. So that's what we're going to do first really quickly. And what we're going to use for that is the same stuff that we used in the last video. It's just this regular glue. I get it at the 99-cent store. Now, when building dioramas, you're always going to come across new techniques and new things to use, and this is one of them. I originally used to use spray adhesive glue, and it was kind of expensive. It was like $6 or $7 a can. It was kind of messy because when you would spray the glue on, sometimes it would go in areas that you didn't want it to go on to, but I would use it all the time. And what had happened is I was wanting to work on one of my shelves last year, and I ran out of that adhesive glue and tried to use this because I didn't feel like going up to the store, and I found out that this works actually much better and it's a hell of a lot cheaper. So those are just some of the things you learn when you're doing weathering or dioramas. You're always coming up with new ideas. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and put this glue down. It goes on like that. And then we're going to take a brush and kind of smear the glue all over the place, and then we're going to add our dirt. All right. Now also too, if you see off to the side, we have a indoor bunker that was part of a play set. We have a 1/6 scale sideshow scout trooper, which we're going to be adding. We also have a little Ewok here and a Endor Moon, which we'll be talking about in just a moment as well. So go ahead and stand up really quickly, and again, you just want to use a brush, smear it around. And I also found too that this glue holds dirt and stuff much better than the adhesive did. And again, it's much cheaper. A little bit more. And don't worry too, you see that it's white, it dries clear. Really simple to do. Now once I put the dirt on here, we are actually going to be going into the other room to look at some examples of some other shelving and dioramas that I did and talk about why I do these the way I do. All right. So we got that on, and then I went in the backyard and got some dirt. Now what I'll do too is after this dries, some of this is kind of clumped up. As soon as this dries, I'll go shake the shelf off outside to get all the loose dirt that didn't stick. There we go. Just spread it on. Now, once this does get all stuck on here, I'll actually come back with some spray paint as well and add some whites and greens and browns to give it some more texture and color. All right, that looks pretty good. You kind of take a look at it. So while that's drying, why do I do these dioramas? Why do I just not put my 1/6 scale figures in a glass case and leave it at that? Well, that's actually a great idea, and I've seen a lot of people's collections that look really awesome done that way. For me personally though, that's not how I started collecting. If you remember, my Star Wars room didn't used to be a Star Wars room. It actually used to be a movie room. And in my movie room, all I had in there was movie posters and props. And I had props from Indiana Jones, Pirates of the Caribbean, Ghostbusters, Harry Potter, Willy Wonka, and that's what I collected. And then I decided finally to add some Star Wars stuff, which again, the props I was going to use were lightsabers and helmets. And from there, I thought, well, why not pair up a 1/6 scale figure? Because as I was searching for things to put in the room Star Wars, I came across all these play sets and figures and vehicles and stuff that I just was like, oh, I want to get that, I want to get this. And so that's where I came up with the idea of pairing the 1/6 scale figures, like this sideshow one, because I thought they were really cool. And so my original thought was just to pair, say, a Darth Vader helmet with Darth Vader, Stormtrooper with a Stormtrooper helmet. And from there, it just kind of grew into doing semi-dioramas and starting to add vehicles, because I wanted to have as big a collection as possible, but have everything kind of blend together. So now that that is drying, let's go ahead and go in the other room, and we'll look at a couple of examples of different play sets and vehicles and stuff that I've used in the past. So, like some of the play sets here, this is one of the Tatooine play sets, and we added a Sand Trooper. Here's a Sand Crawler, and we added some of the sideshow Jawas, the R5, Luke, the Sand Speeder. Over here, Creature, we got the Bantha, got a Dewback, and I just kind of felt like I could kind of pair them up. And it allowed me to collect a lot of other stuff. And obviously the big one here is the Millennium Falcon, which kind of started it, because you just kind of have to have this vehicle in your collection. And we paired them up with Han Solo and Chewbacca. It just makes sense. Some of the other play sets that I've used, this is the one for Yoda. This is Yoda's play set, and repainted it and added the Hot Toys Yoda with it. And so that's just kind of how everything started, and then we got into doing the planets and the moons, and it just kept growing and growing, and it just gave me more and more ideas for displays and dioramas. Of course, down here, our big diorama, if you remember, we did this one a few years ago. It's the AT-AT, and again, we use a couple of the turrets from a play set. We've got the sideshow AT driver. Actually used some snow speeders. Those aren't from a play set. I just saw them. I wanted to purchase them and figure a way to add them to the collection. And that's just kind of how the whole thing kind of snowballed, and why we do all the different shelving. So we'll be going back through all of these different shelves once I finish this room, which hopefully will be soon. And then we'll go back through and talk about what each thing was used and how I built it and so on. Alright, so now on to the big announcement before we go back in the room and start working on that indoor diorama. Alright, so the announcement. This is our Tatooine Fett wall, which is Fett's right there. And again, we used a bunch of different, that's part of a play set up there. We got Jabba's Palace. I just needed to get that. I just thought it looked way too cool. That's not part of a play set. That's... I can't think of the name, but I'll leave the description down below. I can't think of who made that, but we got a Micro Machines katana right there. Some other different die-cast models up there. Hasbro, Han and Carbonite. Also, too, these are Hasbro's. Turn on the light there. And this has just been a repaint. And so again, it just kind of lets me add, this is another vehicle. And so the big announcement is that we're going to be changing up this wall just a little bit because we got the katana, the big one. Now I'm not going to do a review on this today, this will be coming up later, but we are going to add this bad boy to the wall. It took me a long time to figure out how to add it, and hopefully, fingers crossed, it does work, but that's going to be going on this wall. We're going to be doing some redesigns on some of that stuff, so stay tuned for those videos, because by the time it's finished, it's going to look awesome. And I hope to start working on this kind of stuff next week. Alright, so made the announcements. Now we know why we do the dioramas, so let's go back in the other room and start working on that. Alright, so I hope you enjoyed that little clip of the Star Wars wall and explanation on why I do the dioramas and how I use the play sets. And now this one here, most all the dirt has now all dried and it's all set. And now on to our next part, which is going to be to add the actual bunker from the indoor play set, which will go right here, set into place. Now also too here, I added some trees and I added the same kind of dirt. And then we will add our Uncle Milton's Moon in Your Room, that we have it to look like the moon of Endor, which will actually then set right over the top over here. I'm going to raise the camera a little bit. This will go above it and onto the wall itself. Now my next step will be to actually add some more bushes and trees and some moss to really make it look like it's the forest. So for that I'm going to be using these trees that I get from eBay. They actually come from China. They're like $2 or $3 for a bag. And although they're trees, I'll just use a pair of scissors and clip off the bottom and make them into a bush. Now when you're doing these, you also want to get a variety of colors. So I have this one as well. So we'll have 2 different colors. And I'll just cut and hot glue them in different areas. And then we're going to go ahead and add our Black Series 1/6 scale. I actually put a nail down here already. Where's it at? Oh, here we go. That'll just be hot glued in. If I can get this thing to set right. So it'll kind of just hover like that. And once we get everything all blended correctly, then we can add our figures. And then we're done. No, we won't be done, because actually I also have to kind of do some of these other shelves that are part of the collection. So I'll kind of try to get these in frame. So this here is our Sideshow Luke that I did a review on a few months ago. And you can see how the shelves kind of look similar, but I want to add some more to his base so they match. And then one other one, let's get this one out of the way, excuse me. We have this shelf. We'll move the camera. This is the one that we were working on a couple weeks ago. And you can see where they really don't look the same as far as the bases go. So if I remove the helmet, you can see there's not, even though the helmet's hiding most of it, we still want to add some more bushes here. I might actually use some more moldacine and build that up a bit, which is right here. The moldacine, we're going to add some of that. Probably going to raise this up. And then I haven't decided what I'm going to do with this Ewok yet. I don't know if I'm going to like put him up on the hill right here, or I might put him on this diorama. And then we can't forget to add our Star Wars logo to the shelf. And our little plastic acrylic blue pieces so they all match. So I have quite a bit of work still left to do. Plus there's one item that I actually ordered that I want to see if I can add to the collection as well. So I'm going to stop the video now. I know you wanted to see everything completed, and that's what I planned on doing, but I did want to get this video out, and I also don't want it to run too long. So I'm going to start work on these other shelves. I'm going to blend them all together, and there's actually a fourth shelf that's already done that you haven't seen yet. It's actually on the wall already. And we're going to just make sure they all blend, they all look good, and we'll come back and do another video once it's all completed. I'm hoping, fingers crossed, by the end of this weekend, and then we'll do another video, and then we start on that katana, because that katana is like, I want to start on it right now, but I know I need to finish these other shelves first. And then of course we have the Empire room to finish, and we will be going over all of the shelves that you saw on the Star Wars wall. And if not enough stuff, I have the new room that I'm working on as well, and that one's almost completed, and I got to do a whole video series on those as well. So I hope you like what you saw. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to leave them down below, and I'm going to get back to work and hopefully get another video out really soon to you guys. Talk to you guys later.